know about you, but I'd like a president who can play lead guitar.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee jamming in Iowa over the weekend. He wasn't just jamming on stage either. He came in an impressive second in the Iowa straw poll. Welcome back to Morning Joe. I'm Willie Geist in for Joe Scarborough today. Joe will be back tomorrow. I'm joined by Mika Brzezinski and Chuck Nice, as always. Governor Huckabee, you on the phone?
Here. Good to talk to you again, Willie.
Good to talk to you. Good morning. Congratulations on your showing yesterday.
We had a great day in Iowa. Not only did the band get to play and no one threw chairs at us, but we had a terrific day in the polling. And I think for us to come in second stunned everybody, and especially with the amount of money that we were spending compared to what the others had. It really was a significant day for us, and I think one that is going to thrust us forward, frankly, more than any other candidate who participated.
Well, a lot of people were surprised to see those numbers on Saturday night. Did it surprise you how well you did?
Not really. I mean, I was thrilled and ecstatic over it, but we had sensed something very dramatic taking place, and I've been telling people all week, there's going to be a historic moment here Saturday. We're going to shock some people, and we did. And there had been building momentum. You keep hearing about the dissatisfaction with the Republican field, and when people are saying that, what they're really dissatisfied with are the candidates that they are so familiar with. They're not that familiar with me, and I think that's what makes the difference, is that as they get familiar with my message and what I'm about, they become very clearly plugged in, and that's what we saw. We had more people vote for us than even had purchased tickets, and that just doesn't happen in the Iowa straw poll.
You mentioned the resources that Mitt Romney's campaign has. Tell us what you were up against in that state. He was bussing people in, paying for their tickets and all the rest of it. What were you up against those candidates?
Well, it was clearly David versus Goliath, and I told people that we fed the 5,000 with 2 fish and 5 small loaves, and that's really what we had. I mean, we spent less than $90,000 on the day. Some reports say 150. That includes all the way down to paper clips in the office in Iowa for the past 8 weeks. But our actual day's expenses, including tickets and everything, was less than $90,000. So what we really had was an effort where we didn't have buses. We had no paid advertising. We didn't give away free T-shirts. We did give away watermelon from my hometown of Hope, Arkansas, which may have been the reason that we did so well. That could have done it. That made up for the music of capital offense. But, we brought in our own band, so that kept those costs down. And we just had a great time. And I'll tell you what was interesting. There was never a moment at our area in our tent when we didn't have a long line of people and a big crowd. And I knew from that, there were some of the other tents were actually air-conditioned. And, they had wonderful amenities, and we were serving watermelon and barbecue, but mostly we had some great Southern rock and roll and just a lot of committed and excited people.
You always win with Southern rock and roll, Governor. You know that.
When we cranked up Freebird, believe me, the crowd went nuts.
The lighters came out and everything else.
Well, now, because of, the fact that so few people smoke, we just tell them to hold up their cell phones, and that's what they did. We had like 300 people with cell phones waving them in the air right to left. It was pretty cool.
That's what they're doing nowadays. A lot of people, I don't think, understand the importance of the Iowa straw poll. It's not the most democratic thing in the world. People do have to pay for votes. What does it mean to your campaign? What kind of boost does it give you? It's obviously important to you.
We've been hearing from so many people who said, we love your message. We're glad that you're a different kind of Republican. That's great. And here's what they would say. And if you get some traction, we're going to support you. Well, our feeling is we've got the traction. Where's the check?
Right. There's also a lot of people saying out there, skeptics, and we should bring this up, that Giuliani was not there, McCain wasn't there, Fred Thompson not in the race yet. So these results are to be taken with a grain of salt. What do you make of that argument?
No, I would say quite the opposite. The reason they didn't play was because they couldn't win, so they forfeited the game. But when you forfeit because you don't have enough of a team that's going to play well in an area, then that's not, taking away from the victor. In fact, it's complimenting those who did play, saying, here are guys who knew they couldn't beat us in Iowa, and they couldn't. And I think they knew that, and they decided to use this as an excuse. But the reality is, I wish they had have played simply so the rest of the country could have seen these are not candidates who are going to make it Middle America. And if you can't win without, you can't win without Middle America, which means that the Republicans have to keep shopping. And that's why I think that my place there was such a significant one, because it showed that there is really not only a hunger for a different candidate, but I think I'm fitting, the bill for those who are looking for an alternative.
Governor Huckabee, I know you're playing to win, but there have been some whispers, including in the New York Times yesterday, which I guess isn't so much a whisper, that you could end up being Rudy Giuliani's running mate should have come to that. Now, I know you're going to, I'll preempt your answer. You want to be the president of the United States. But let's say, hypothetically, that you did not win the nomination. Is that something that would interest you?
I'd rather be discussing would I pick Rudy as my running mate rather than Rudy picking
I knew
me.
you were going to do that.
First, I've got to find out, does Rudy play a musical instrument? Because if he doesn't, he's off the ticket. You've got to play guitar, drums, or keyboard, or at least be a vocalist.
Somehow I don't see Rudy Giuliani playing Freebird outside at the Iowa State Fair.
I don't either, so I think we're going to have to keep looking.
Well, you did great yesterday. You did great. And we got to ask you, too, about the news of the day here. Karl Rove, his resignation being tendered. His last day in office will be August 31st. Were you surprised by that news when you woke up this morning?
A little bit, just from the timing, but then I heard about Josh Bolton's sort of command that everybody who's going to leave before the end of the term leave by Labor Day, so it makes sense. I mean, he's been there a long time. I know he's burned out. But I also know how much the president depends upon him and leans on him for advice and counsel. So I think it'll be a tough transition for both of them. But I certainly understand it, and it's a tough job in the White House. People who work there, whether friends of mine who've been in the Clinton administration or the Bush administration, will tell you that, there's just a sort of a short shelf life for most people. And Karl has outlasted the average by several years.
Well, Governor, let me just knock down that Josh Bolton point, just because we're hearing right now from our contacts at the White House and NBC News correspondent Kelly O'Donnell that Rove says his decision came before Bolton, quote, telegraphed to senior staffers that they were planning to leave and they should do so before August. So what do you make of the White House spin of this? Because if that's not the case, there's, the one remaining, I guess, excuse that Rove is giving is that he wants to spend more time with his family. Do you think that's the bottom line here and that's what it adds up to?
Well, my guess is he wants to spend more time with his banker because he's going to make a lot of money in the private sector, and I think, maybe that has to do with it. I never have bought this line of I want to spend more time with my family, just because we all know we had families before we took these jobs, and when a person says, I want to spend more time with the family, I want to say, what, did you wake up this morning, look around and say, oh my gosh, I've got a family here.
You just discovered they were there?
Where these people come from?
Well, and his son is in college, and so he's going back to Texas.
So, I understand that you want to spend more time with your family, but you knew you had them when you took the job. So that's sort of the ultimate political answer. But, the reality is he's probably just tired, and I can certainly understand that. I'm sure the relentless pursuit that has been given to him by some of the Democrats in Congress have certainly added to the stress. And so, Karl's a smart guy, and I'll tell you, he's a resourceful and brilliant guy that'll do well wherever he goes. And I think, he kind of has a right to say, I've done my duty.
Governor, you've got this momentum now from Iowa. What's the next stop on the runaway train that is the Mike Huckabee Express?
Well, we're headed to New Hampshire later this week and then to South Carolina next week, and then we'll be circling back through Iowa pretty soon. So, we're going to be hitting it hard, and one of the things that we'll be doing now is using really the credibility of this great day for us in Iowa to go back to our donors and to hopefully go to new donors and people who have been sort of sitting on the sidelines and waiting to see with someone emerging, and telling them they don't have to wait for some candidate to make up his mind. We've made up ours. We hope they'll make up theirs and get on board with us.
Well, you had a great showing yesterday in Iowa, Governor Mike Huckabee. We appreciate you being with us this morning, and good luck the rest of the way out there.
Thank you. Great to talk to you again.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon. That's Governor Mike Huckabee, the surprise second-place finisher in Iowa. I think he shocked a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Well, you look at the money that he spent versus the money that Mitt Romney spent, and you can
what was
certainly
that
spin
dollar
it that
figure,
way.
Chuck?
Well, the thing is, the third-place finisher, Sam Brownback, spent basically $148 per vote. Mitt Romney, $442 per vote.
And all of his family members hired to blanket the state.
And Huckabee with a paltry $57 per vote, but then he actually further clarified it by saying that they're reporting that he spent a total of $150,000. He's saying it's more along the lines of $90,000, right. And if it is indeed $90,000, then that's kind of around $34, $35 a vote.
But what, the underlying